Okay, guys, I'm doing mine from inside my car. Up at my friend's farm. I come up here like once a month, and it's noisy on a farm. So I couldn't find a spot where either the dog wasn't barking, or the goats weren't neighing, or the weed whacker, or the tractor, or I ran all over this farm trying to find a spot, and now I'm hiding in my car. So any background sound you still hear, well, your problem at this point. Right, moving right along. It's been a couple days. I made some progress, I believe. I've had some epiphanies, some realizations. Some events have occurred. Probably I've let it go too long, and hopefully this video won't be too long. Maybe I'll have to break it into two if that's what happens. But let's start with, I told you all that my husband was a covert narcissist. Now, I'm assuming most people are at least familiar with the term narcissist. Covert narcissist is just one that's an introvert, not an extrovert. They're much more passive-aggressive, but the same basic narcissism is at the core of it. Now, I personally have borderline personality disorder, which is BPD, versus the narcissistic, which is NPD. And it seems that NPDs and BPDs are very drawn to each other. We kind of are mirror images of each other. Same core dysfunction. Same cause of core dysfunction, shall we say. Both NPD and BPD are caused by the trauma, abuse, neglect in childhood, something that caused either enmeshment or abandonment, basically improper loving, a child that received improper loving. Most often, it's caused by intermittent attachment. In other words, the child is not loved for being themselves. They're loved either as an extension of the parent, or for what they can do for the parent, or they're loved sometimes, hated sometimes, or loved by one, hated by the other. Something that makes a child not feel secure, not feel safe, not feel loved, not feel of value. But that's the core cause. And it's dealt with in one of two ways. Either, in the case of BPD, the person that is being not loved and not attached and not secure dives inside themselves and attempts to rearrange and fix themselves into what it is that it takes to be loved. They become a people pleaser, they become a fixer. They try and change, they got chameleon qualities. They try and change themselves up to become what is desired, what is lovable. Or, in the case of NPD, they project onto themselves an illusion of being the perfect, lovable person. They're perfect. They're omniscient. They know everything. They're godlike. They can do no wrong. Both BPD and NPD suffer from delusions. BPD usually has a pretty good handle on themselves, not necessarily emotionally wise, but a pretty clear understanding of who they are as a person. But they have a terrible problem viewing other people correctly, at least in the present moment. They tend to swing on a pendulum. People are saints or sinners. Either they're the demons from the pits of hell, or they're put up on a pedestal, neither of which is sustainable by anybody that's human. And therefore, constantly in a state of valuing and overvaluing and devaluing people, plus suffering from a tremendous fear of abandonment. So there's a push-pull thing going on. NPD has a pretty clear understanding and clear enough to manipulate and maneuver others, of other people, completely false delusion of themselves. And their desperate need is not, while they have the same fear of abandonment, their desperate need is they need the admiration and someone to help perpetuate their illusion. They, somewhere in the back of their mind, know it's an illusion, yet their identity is built on it. And so what they need is people to help them perpetuate their illusion. And BPDs are perfect for that, because we'll put them on a pedestal and think they're God, and they think they're God. And we're givers, and they're takers, and it's a wonderful relationship made in hell for everybody involved. Yet it's addictive. And so it's a horrible time trying to separate these two toxic individuals, because they're involved in a dance of push-pull, where they're trying to exert their independence, yet due to fear of abandonment, they're also giving up their sense of self, and they're both involved in this. One is pursuing, one is being pursued. One's the chaser, one's the runner. People also have idealized this, calling it like a twin flame relationship. It's all of the above and none of the above. It's, for those inside it, it's an extraordinarily painful piece of hell. Yet it's love. It is love, and the only people that are going to love either one of those people are the other one. We are mirror images of each other, two sides of the same coin. Now, I'm not any sort of doctor, no psychologist. Those are just 100% my opinions based on my research and understanding of the matter. So take it for what it's worth. If you research it for yourself, you may or may not agree with me. That's my understanding. That's where I stand on it. All of that is just background to one of the epiphanies I had. When I was looking at all the narcissistic behavior that I had been putting up with and that I was still dealing with, that I was hoping that was alcohol induced in my husband, so that he will actually get help, because if it's not alcohol induced, there's very little help that will work. The good part is that narcissism is a spectrum. It starts out with mild narcissistic traits that everyone has, going full-fledged to psychopath. So where he falls in that spectrum, when the alcohol's been removed, I don't actually know. And obviously the closer he's to psychopath, the less helpable he is. So hopefully it's not that far. But the traits that are narcissistic traits that is a lack of empathy, he's emotionally unavailable. He doesn't connect. He's all about himself. I always say he has an imaginary Heather, because he thinks he knows me, and he doesn't. He hasn't taken the time to truly know me. I don't think he even knows my favorite color. But he thinks he does. And he thinks he knows all about me without actually taking the trouble to get to know me. So there's been no connecting. There's been no... Yeah. And I'm hungry for that. That's what I need more than I need air to breathe. And it's a game of keep away. He thinks he knows me because he knows how to manipulate me or pull my emotions. But I wear my emotions on my sleeve, so it isn't really hard to pick that up. And give me 10 minutes, I'll tell you what I'm hungry for. So just presenting me with bait is easy enough also. That doesn't take a lot. Anyway, it occurred to me that in my relationship with God, I'm the narcissist. I haven't cared about God. God has feelings too. We're made in His image. This bundle of emotions that we have, these sometimes controlling everything from rage to, He has them too. And I'm sure they're much bigger in Him. Probably much better under control, much more used accurately. But nonetheless, He has every one of them. He gets jealous. He gets hurt. he does get angry. When they speak of the wrath of God or any of those things, they mean it. When they say he repents and he's sorry of it, I mean, if we had those emotions, so does he. And then I looked at it and I'm like, I'm questioning why I can't forge this relationship with God. Well, it takes two to make a relationship. It takes two. He's reaching towards me, but if I don't reach back, there's no connection. No wonder I can't hear his voice. If those of you that are parents, if you ever been in the supermarket and hear a kid yelling mom, you know your kid's voice. You know which kid's mom is you. But they're all yelling mom. If you didn't know your kid, or you just adopted a kid, or got a kid yesterday somewhere out of nowhere, you wouldn't know which mom was you. You wouldn't know your child's voice. But because they're your child, because you have a relationship with them, you know their voice. Well, that's probably why I can't hear God's voice. Because I don't have a proper relationship with God. Because I've only talked to God when I need something. I expect him to do for me, and I need him to do this for me, and then wave his magic spell and do this for me. And what is it I'm doing for him? Anything? I mean, yes, he's God, and yes, he could do things for himself, but I could do things for myself, and I really appreciate it when my husband does, and it shows me that he loves me when he does things for me that I can perfectly well do for myself. So just because he's God doesn't mean you shouldn't do stuff for him. And how am I going to learn to know his voice if I don't bother getting to know him? And I think I know him. I thought I knew him. I've been taught about him all my life. Been to church plenty. Memorized Bible verse, went to summer camp, did Christian school. Yep, I know all about God. You're right, I haven't checked with him at all. It's like reading a bibliography on somebody is not the same as knowing the person. And when it says he wants a relationship with you, he does, like a real one. Like a real one. And that would probably cure my trust issues if I knew him. Forget hearing his voice. I'm listening for his voice because I want to know what his commandments are, and I'm thinking because that'll get me in good, and then I can present my want list, and that's not how this works at all. At all. I'm doing this all wrong. I need to back myself up a few steps. I'll recognize his voice when I know him. I don't know him. I haven't bothered to find him out. I haven't bothered to know him. Of course, that presents its own problems. How? Again, how? How do you know him? Well, I guess the Bible's the right place to start for that. I'm not going to take anybody else's word on how he is, because every relationship, I know it, every relationship is different. The relationship I have with my daughter is not the same relationship she has with, say, my sister, or the relationship I have with my husband is not the same relationship I had with my previous husband. Every friendship, every family, even coworkers, every relationship you have with another human being is completely, entirely unique, because it's a melding of two unique individuals that creates that relationship. There's no way any of them could be the same, ever. So there's no way anybody else's relationship with God could be the same as my relationship with God, because nobody else is me. And that's just truth. I don't need to study to know that one. So I don't know if other people telling me how to have a relationship would actually work. So what do you do when you want to have a relationship with somebody? You talk to them a lot. You seek them out. You show joy at their presence. You admire their handiwork. You put yourself on best behavior. If you got a crush and you want that crush to think you're cute and like you back, you put on your best behavior. You show that you show off pretty much. Well, yeah, God knows my heart, but a little bit of showing off is in order. I need to be reaching a little harder. I need to show him that I want a relationship. I need to seek him actively. I don't even think I pray right. I don't think I pray right. I shut my eyes. I bow my head. I started with the Dear God in heaven. I ended with in Jesus Christ's name, amen. It's usually just a want list. Like, I think just looking up and directing my thoughts towards him and just asking him how he's doing today. And that I admire butterflies, and that I really appreciate lightning bugs. That they're beautiful, and I really enjoyed the show last night. Or that I didn't know bullfrogs made that crazy sound, and what it is. What in the world are they saying? And why, oh why, a duck-billed platypus? Why? What kind of sense of humor is that? Because you know he's got one of them too. He does. He has to. He made us. We have senses of humor. We are made in his image. If we have it, he's got it. Except in perfect form. Because some of y'all's sense of humor is questionable. I gotta tell you. Definitely questionable. But so, that's my newest update. That's where I'm at with that. This might even be like a 2-video day. Maybe not. Sometimes I make progress in leaps and bounds, and sometimes I just stuck in ruts. But that was my epiphany. I'm hoping I'm not too far gone on the spectrum, and I'm not completely hardened and completely a psychopath when it comes to God. I'm hoping now that I've realized that I've solved the problem, that I'm motivated to fix it. God, I hope my husband sees the problem and is motivated to fix it too. Because I've been reaching for him for a long time. Alright, I'll talk to y'all later. See you next sometimes.